With us to talk about how China's tariffs on US goods is being perceived in China is Andy Mok. He's a senior research fellow at Centre for China and Globalization in Beijing and joins us right now from Thailand. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Sally.
How significant is China's decision to impose 10 to 15% tariffs on US goods, which industries will feel, the biggest impact, do you think?
Well, Sally, I think for the businesses directly impacted, of course, this is very, very significant. However, in the larger scheme of things, I think this reflects China's measured and calibrated response towards this escalation by the U.S. side, and I think indicates, first of all, very clearly that China will defend its interests, but it is not looking to escalate. And, I think as China has said consistently over years, if not decades, the door is open to working with countries all around the world, especially the United States.
And China has called for dialogue and consultations over tariffs. How likely is it that the US will engage in serious negotiations?
Well, I think that's an important question, Sally, and there's two answers here. I think at a more tactical level, I think certainly there is room for discussion and negotiation. However, I think it's very, very important to point out, and I think it's not well appreciated yet, just how profound this new approach is that's being implemented by President Trump in his second administration. And I think of it as that there's four main big ideas that he's looking to implement, not just vis-a-vis China, but really the entire world. And I think the first is reindustrialization of the United States. The second is reciprocity in tariffs. The third is reimbursement from its allies like NATO, like Japan, like South Korea for providing a security guarantee. And then finally, real estate, meaning that Trump believes that a reinvigorated United States ought to also engage in geographic expansion. Now, these ideas, I think, are seismic in terms of their utter repudiation of the international order. So this is, I think, the broader context within which I think China is looking to make its work with the U.S. And I think it opens new opportunities, but obviously poses I think some significant challenges as well.
And with China tightening export controls on rare earth minerals, how could this impact US technology and manufacturing industries?
Well, it certainly shows, I think, China's sophistication in its response. So it's not just responding with tariffs, but also other measures. And I think these export controls are highly targeted. I'll give you one example. Bismuth, for example, which is one of the critical minerals being put under this new regime, is important for military applications. So it's used often as a replacement for lead, so for making bullets, other types of munitions. And I think this is meant to demonstrate in a very practical way to the United States that there is significant dependencies, not just in consumer goods, not just in other sectors, say in the financial sector, with China still being a significant buyer of U.S. treasuries, et cetera, that again, this is a very well thought out, calibrated response to safeguard China's interests.
What message is China sending with its antitrust investigation into Google and NVIDIA and the addition of US firms to its blacklist?
Well, I think what China is saying is that, again, there are interdependencies, there are linkages that go just beyond trade and beyond tariffs. So if we look at Google, this antitrust investigation that's been announced by SAMR, the State Administration for Market Regulation. Even though Google does not have a very large business directly in China, many Chinese smartphone manufacturers that export globally do use Android. And this is maybe in the single-digit % revenue for Google, so it's not huge. But I think, again, the symbolic and the strategic message here is very, very important. And it demonstrates, again, I think that China's, I think, calibrated and coherent response to this challenge by the United States.
And of course, we've been here before. How do these escalating trade tensions compare to previous US-China tariff disputes under the first administration?
No, that's right, Sally. And again, I think it looks like, we've seen this movie before. But I think one of the big differences here is while Trump, I believe, has been remarkably consistent in his worldview and his objectives, compared to the first administration, he had a much less complete understanding of how to manipulate the levers of government. And it's clear this time round, for better or worse, he is much more experienced, much more prepared to implement his vision. And again, I can't underemphasize just how profoundly different a vision this is. Now, there's still, I think, tremendous obstacles to be faced, both domestically in the United States and in the global environment. But I think he's certainly in a much better position to pursue his vision for what a new America might look like.
All right, Andy Mok, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sally.